Hello friends, this is Durga again from ITversity, a one-stop shop to learn all the technologies. At this time we are talking about Cloudera certified administrator of Apache Hadoop, and as you guys are familiar with, the Cloudera certification is divided into 5 major parts. One is HDFS, then Yarn and MapReduce version 2, Hadoop cluster planning, Hadoop cluster installation and administration, resource management, monitoring and logging. These are the 6 components, and then I have added some miscellaneous which are important beyond the scope of the certification. So far we have covered HDFS. Now we are going into the second category, Yarn and MapReduce version 2. It has 17% weightage, and also it is very important with respect to the job also, not only for the certifications. So this category have 6 items. The first one is understand how upgrading a cluster from Hadoop 1 to Hadoop 2 affects cluster settings. So here, if you read the first one, understand how upgrading a cluster from Hadoop 1 to Hadoop 2 affects cluster settings. They are not bothered about setting up version 1 of MapReduce. They are primarily focusing on Hadoop 2, which comes with Yarn and MapReduce version 2. So we need to understand what are the changes that will occur when we actually upgrade cluster from Hadoop 1 to Hadoop 2 with respect to Yarn and MapReduce, because this is within the scope of Yarn and MapReduce version 2. So I have a cluster which is running MRv1, and we will review what all there with respect to MRv1. And then when we actually set up MRv2, so if you see the second option, it says understand how to deploy MapReduce v2 including all Yarn daemons. So if we review what is there in MRv1, and when we actually deploy MRv2, you will understand the different cluster settings that are different between Hadoop 1 and Hadoop 2. So as part of this video, I will only focus on important parameters, the daemon process, the parameter files, and the logging files or logging directories with respect to MRv1. Okay, so I am opening the Cloudera manager now, and if you click on MapReduce, if you are using Cloudera manager, you can go to instances and see what are the daemon processes that are running. So there is one job tracker which is running on 244, and there are 4 task trackers which are running 245, 246, 247 and 248. And if you click on hosts, all hosts, you can see that 245, 246, 247 and 248 have data node and MapReduce task tracker, HDFS data node and MapReduce task tracker. So this slave process, so task trackers are slaves in MRv1. These slave processes are actually co-located with data nodes. Typically, you can have task trackers different from the data nodes, but typical configuration you will have both HDFS data node and MapReduce task tracker on all the slave nodes, because HDFS data nodes actually store the data in the form of blocks, and the task trackers are the ones which will coordinate mappers and reducers which will actually process the data. Okay, and then if you expand 244, we have job tracker here, but in production clusters, job tracker will be running on its own node. There won't be any name node or secondary name node or any other important master process which will be running on that. But as we have only 3 masters in our cluster where I am demonstrating, I have hosted job tracker on the same node where one of the name nodes are running. If you expand this one, it has name node, but it does not have the MapReduce job tracker, but 244 have MapReduce job tracker. Okay, typically in production cluster you will have 6 or 7 or even 8 masters on larger cluster. One of the node will be running job tracker. Now coming to configurations, you can go to the service which is MapReduce here, and you can click on configuration, and when you are using the Cloudera web interface, under the scope. So the way the parameters are categorized in Cloudera Manager web interface is, first you have scope and then category. So scope is for each service, and within the service the parameters are categorized into different levels. So for example, if I click on job tracker, it will filter all the parameters that are related to job tracker under the category. If I choose task tracker, it will filter all the parameters that are related to task tracker in category. So it is just they are providing the access to all the parameters in user friendly fashion without struggling too much about the parameters. Over time you will understand this these dependencies, and you will be able to figure out the parameters very quickly. For example, if you want to check all the parameters related to task tracker logs, so you have to select task tracker and the scope and select logs here, and you will see the log related parameters for task trackers here. If you want to look at job tracker, you can choose job tracker and logs here, and these are the parameters related to job tracker logs. So like that you can actually filter the parameters. Most of the parameters will have either job tracker or task tracker in them. It is also very important to understand how the parameters look like in the command prompt. Okay, so I am actually getting onto the cluster from the terminal. Right now we are logging into master01, and here if you go to cd/etc/hadoop/conf and ls-ltr, you can see MapReduce.xml file. So there is only one XML file with respect to MRv1 with respect to MapReduce. So when we actually deploy yarn, you will see two, MapReduce.xml and ansite.xml. Okay, if you open MapReduce.xml file, you will have bunch of parameters, and the parameter which will actually tell where the job tracker is, which will actually submit the MapReduce jobs, is this one, MapReduce job tracker. This is the IP address and this is the port number. Okay, whereas when it comes to yarn, you will not see any of the job.tracker related parameters the way you are seeing here. So if we come out and if we run grep job.tracker MapReduce.xml, there are two parameters, and then grep task.tracker MapReduce.xml, you will not find here, but if we log into the node where the task trackers are running, there can be many parameters which are related to task tracker. Let me do this, grep task MapReduce.xml. Yeah, no, this is not the one. So let me SSH. Okay, now cd etc hadoop conf grep task.tracker MapReduce.xml. Okay, I think it does not have the parameters which have task tracker in them. There should be actually when it comes to Cloudera, it will manage the parameter files in little bit different fashion. You can actually go to cd/var/run/ Cloudera SCM agent process and ls-ltr, and you can see there is a directory for task tracker, and now grep task MapReduce.xml. See, you can see many parameters related to task tracker. Okay, so this is the location where you will see the actual parameters which are being displayed here. cd etc hadoop conf is the standard location. So to satisfy the standards, they are just providing some important parameters in that location, and you should not touch those files from the command prompt. Okay, but if you go to this location, var run Cloudera SCM agent process and ls ltr. There can be multiple directories which ends with MapReduce -task tracker. You have to pick the latest, the one with the highest ID with MapReduce task tracker in them. Then you will have the latest version of parameters. The reason why they are doing it is, you can see the button history and rollback. When you click on the history, it will actually list all the parameter files in the reverse historical fashion. You can use that to actually restore, and the way it works is by internally managing multiple versions in multiple directories. Anyway, these are the parameters, and this is the most important parameter which will actually give the task tracker web interface if you want to access task tracker web interface. And also there are other parameters which will tell how many mappers should run on the cluster and how many on each node and how many reducers should be running on each node. So these are the types of parameters which we will see. Okay, so I will revisit these things when I actually compare MRv1 with MRv2 and what are the drawbacks of having these parameters. From certification point of view, when it comes to task tracker parameters, these two are the most important parameters. And when it comes to job tracker parameters, I am logging into 244 now, where I have the job tracker. cd var run Cloudera SCM agent process and ls-ltr. We want to look at the parameters related to job tracker. So 82 MapReduce job tracker, ls-ltr grep job MapReduce.xml, and you can see there are many parameters which have job tracker in them. Job tracker will have the job tracker IP address and port number, and job tracker HTTP address will give the job tracker web interface the same way as name node web interface. There is a web interface for job tracker also, and this is the parameter which will control that, and the port number which it uses is 8021. We can actually do view MapReduce.xml, and so this is the job tracker port number 50030, job tracker web interface port number. Web interfaces typically have HTTP address, and this is the port number for job tracker itself. So job tracker process will be running on this process. And also if you actually run ps-fu MapRed, that is the user which will actually run this daemon process on 44, proc_job tracker process is running. Similarly, if you run the same command on any of the 45, 46, 47, 48, you will be seeing task tracker process running over there. Okay, so you can see it here. So this is how you can actually look into the parameters of MRv1 and also the daemon process that are running. And when it comes to log files, the log files will be under /var/log. There is a directory called Hadoop 0.2 MapReduce. This is the MRv1. Okay, we are on 242. Here no process is running, that's why there are no logs here. But if you go to 244 where the job tracker is running and go to Hadoop 0.20 MapReduce, that is the directory for Cloudera, the default directory for Cloudera, and you can see the log file like this. So the for job tracker, the log file will contain job tracker in it with IP address of the job tracker. For task trackers, you will have task tracker and IP address of the task tracker, tasktracker.log.out. This is the log files which you need to look into if there are any issues. And the parameter that controls log files are from log4j.properties. So here you can go to etc Hadoop conf, and there is no log4j. Yeah, there is log4j here. I hope there are parameters related to job tracker, but not. So again, you have to go to the actual location where run Cloudera SCM agent process ls-ltr cd 82, and then view log4j properties, and here you can see log.der is the parameter which will control where the log files should be on the corresponding nodes. For job tracker and also task tracker, this is the location and this is the file format. So these are the parameters which you need to keep in mind when it comes to MRv1. Once MRv2 is set up, we will actually review and compare MRv1 versus MRv2. So from certification perspective, MRv1, getting into too many details about MRv1 might not be that important, but you should have knowledge about the settings that needs to be changed between MRv1 to MRv2 as per the published curriculum. But if you want to explore further about MRv1, on my YouTube channel there are two playlists: Administration Hadoop CDH on VMs, Administration Hadoop CDH on AWS. You can view any of the, you can go to any of the playlist and you can see several videos which are having MRv1 in them, and then you will start understanding more in detail about MRv1 or Classic if you want to look into that beyond the published curriculum of certification. So at least I will recommend you to review these videos once before getting into the MRv2, even though it might not be that relevant for the certification, just to have better understanding, and you can easily relate between Classic and Yarn. The differences will be planted in your mind. There might be a lot of emphasis with respect to differences between MRv1 and MRv2. Okay, so that being said, I hope you are enjoying the content on the channel. If you like this video, please click on the like button. If you want to provide the feedback, please use the comment section of the video. If you want to discuss further about big data or Hadoop or certifications, please join my LinkedIn groups called ITversity-Big Data or ITversity-Certifications. And finally, if you have not subscribed to my channel yet, please do so. And also, if you are in a country where fan funding is allowed, you will see support the channel section over here. You can use that you can use that option, and you can actually support anywhere between $100 to $500 so that I can come up with more and more content like this over time. Thank you. Bye.